Hello, this is Mr. Wiltz, and in this tutorial I'm going to talk to you about how to get a photo placed into this area. Of course, this is what you started out with in your portfolio. We want to make sure we get a picture of you, your name, and maybe a welcome on there. So I'm going to walk you through that entire process from photo to Photoshop, and then of course inserting it into this area. The first thing we have to know is really just what the look of this image is that we need. You can see obviously we need a landscape photo, and so we kind of want to know what the dimensions are of this before we even start. So the easiest way to do that is to, with this picture, I can right click and go copy. Now you won't have to do this, I know you've probably already deleted it, so I'm going to go copy that image, and I'm going to go into Photoshop, and I'm going to go to File, New. Photoshop knows that I just copied something, and so it's going to tell me what the pixel dimensions are of that image that I just copied. So you can see this is 778 pixels wide by 338 pixels high, with a resolution of 72. So you can see that that is the dimension of this. It's 778 pixels wide by 338 pixels in height, and then 72 pixels per inch, which is typical resolution for the internet. Alright, so that being said, we know the dimensions, so that tells us basically you want to write that down. So I'm going to do that myself. I'm going to write down 778 pixels wide by 338 pixels in height, and then a resolution of 72, because that is very useful information. Okay, so now that I know that, let's take a look at some photos that to work with, some that you might want to use, some that you wouldn't want to use. As I look at this photo, so here's a photo obviously that, and these are just photos I pulled off the internet, but if you look at this photo, I mean, obviously he's looking at the camera. That's good. That's what we want. So we want your photo for you to be looking, at the camera, because this portfolio is to serve as kind of a digital resume for you. So we want it to look professional. So you want to obviously probably maybe even take a photo just for this instead of using a photo that you already have. So let's talk about what kind of photo you would want. Obviously you want to be looking at the camera, and I guess you wouldn't have to look at the camera, but we should be able to easily recognize you. If you want to do more of an artistic, kind of, candid pose, that's fine too. But we should be able to see clearly who you are in the photo. Now, this photo here that I chose this for a reason, and that is because the photo of this person is really good, but the problem is around him it's very busy. It's got a lot of stuff, so it'd be very difficult for me to put text in here. There's no good kind of blank surface area for me to put text where it would really stand out. So for that reason I probably wouldn't choose this photo, and it's not really wide, a real wide photo. If you remember, we need a kind of a really like 3 times the width that we need in height. So this photo probably not a good choice. So let's look at this other photo. So here's another one, really good photo. Again, great mug shot, good composition. But the problem with this one is, again, if I crop this, I would have to try to figure out where am I going to put the text. And I could put the text over him because really he consumes most of the shot. I mean, there's not a lot of background in this shot. Again, a very great shot, but probably not a great one for putting text beside, because there's just no area unless I did it down here underneath his, down here. I could make it really small, maybe over here, or in this area. But again, just not a good photo for putting text on. So last one that I picked that I thought would work really well is this photo here. You can see that still a good photo. Digging the sweater here, but again, there's a lot of areas here that I could put text on. So I have a solid kind of brick yellow area. I could put text right here. I could go maybe down here on the cushion area, or right on top of the cushion. So again, just a really good, I think, photo that would give us some options. So obviously you want to get your photo, so you need to have a photo before you even start this process. I mean, you can practice this and go through this with another photo you have, and then later maybe take a picture and redo this so that you have a better picture for your homepage. But I'm going to use this photo to show you how to do that. So I'm going to go to my crop tool over here, or you can hit C on your keyboard to select that. And then up here at the top, I want to go ahead and click on where it says custom. I want to go down to where it says size and resolution. And I want to make sure, obviously this is where I can now place in those numbers that I wrote down earlier. So I want to make sure, obviously this is in pixels, so I change from inches to pixels, and that will change all of them once I do that on one. So now my width, as I wrote down, was 778, and my height was 338. My resolution was 72. Okay, and if I wanted to, I could save this as a preset so that like later I'd have this saved basically, but I'm probably not going to use it again, and it's not that big of a deal to type it in, so I'm going to click OK. Now you see mine is incorrect, so I'm going to have to flip those. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to click on rotate the crop to right there. So alright, the next thing we're going to do is reposition this so I can click within this area of the crop window, and I can reposition my picture. I can also click and change my crop window if I want to include, less of the photo or more of the photo. So that's up to you. Now, the nice thing about the crop window is it will give you a rule of thirds grid, and so just one more opportunity for us to kind of review that. But again, you always want your eyes towards the top horizontal line. Again, we want to avoid really centering things. Yes, this is on the top third of the line, but it's also very symmetrical, and so it's just always good to kind of pick a side, either this side or this side, and that's kind of up to you. As if you're looking to the left, I would put more room to the left. If you're looking to the right, I would put more room to the right. If as this person is looking at the camera, then you kind of have an option. Do you put it one way or the other? It doesn't really matter unless your picture, if it's better to put your text over here in your photo, then obviously I'd say choose the left side. So, alright, so let's say this is what I want to go with, and so I'm going to hit enter. Now that's going to shrink considerably because we took away a lot of pixels, and so to work with this, obviously I want to click and zoom in, so get my zoom tool and zoom into this. Okay, so there is my my crop. So that would actually work. I could save that and insert it, but obviously, like I said, we want to work with the text tool to put our name in here. So let's get our text tool. And with our text tool, I'm just going to click. Do not click and drag a box. So do not do this. Okay, I don't want you to do that. So instead, what I want you to do is just simply click and put in your first name. And I'm going to show you kind of a technique that I like. Now you could type in your last name, but the problem is they'll be your first and last name would be together, so you couldn't move them around separately. So what I like to do in this case is just put his first name there. Now I'm going to go up at the top, I'm going to highlight it, and I'm going to find a font that I like that really reads well, that stands out. Not all fonts stand out very well, so you really want something that really stands out. So I'm going to go with an Arial and obviously make this size a lot bigger. And I'm going to make it white. Now you can see there's not much contrast, but what I'm going to do now is put an effect on it. So I have that text layer, John, my name, and then I go to drop shadow, and then I can manipulate these settings for the drop shadow. And don't get crazy with putting all these layer styles on it. I mean, you want to keep it simple, kind of classic, kind of classy look. So I mean, you can adjust some of these values. I like to bring that in just a little bit, and so it gives you kind of a nice drop shadow. Maybe I want to adjust that a little bit more, so I'm going to click on drop shadow again over here and double click it, and I'm going to give it a little more spread so it kind of pops a little bit better. There we go. And I can make that a little bit larger too. Easiest way to select it is to come over here and double click the T next to where it says the name. And that will highlight it, and then you can come up here and you can type in a size if you want. So if I want that to be 80, there we go. And then now for my last name. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this. So I'm going to copy that, what I'm going to do is with my move tool, I want to make sure that layer is selected, and I'm going to hold Alt on my keyboard, and you'll see how it turns into two arrows, and I just simply drag. And the reason I do that instead of starting with the new text layer is that now I have the same size font, the same effects, everything's there. So now all I have to do is go over here, and this one that says John Copy, I can click, and this is actually will be the last name, so I'm just going to type Doe. And then I can double click the T on that and actually change the name to Doe. And so now the nice thing is I can control the name John, my first name, separately from my last name. So I can kind of uniquely position this. So maybe I want to get style that a little more by double clicking and going up here and changing that size to to something else. Maybe I want my last name to be larger than my first name, or something like that. So that's kind of up to you on how you want to place this around there. Then the last thing I'm going to do is put a welcome, and so I'm going to do that down here, and I want to do that. So I'm going to click down there and type in welcome. I want to make that a lot smaller, so I'm going to come up here and maybe make that, let's see what 36 looks like. Oh, I didn't have it highlighted, so I'm going to highlight that. Type in 36. Yeah, it looks pretty good. And then I want kind of a scripty font. I want a font that's a lot different than my name, so it doesn't look like I'm welcoming myself. I'm welcoming others. So I'm going to find a script font. Maybe that doesn't look too bad. I'm not sure that one looks really good. Let's try Brush Script. That looks pretty good. So, and I want to make that maybe a little bit larger, so I double click the T again. Let's make that, let's see what 48. Yeah, 48's not bad. And then I need a drop shadow, so I'm going to go back over, put on a drop shadow, bring my distance in just a little bit by 3, move my spread out just a little bit. There we go. And so there's kind of my finished composition. And again, you can change colors and things like that if you want. That's completely up to you. If I wanted to, I could say, hey, I want to make this welcome. I could double click the T, come up here on the color, and say, I want to make it match the color of his sweater, maybe a light blue or dark blue. But then it just doesn't pop as much. Or I could say, hey, I want to make it this color yellow. So it kind of matches things, but that's completely up to you if you want to do that or not. So again, just pick some fonts you like, make sure they're easy to read, make sure your name stands out the most, because this is your site, and so this is the only place really on your page that your name's actually going to exist, because you haven't placed it anywhere else. So, but anyways, the last thing we're going to do is go ahead and save this. So save it to your My Documents or someplace, and now that'll save it as a Photoshop document. Now for your website, you have to save it as a JPEG. So save it once and save it someplace as a Photoshop document. Click Save, and then you're going to go back and go to File, Save As a JPEG, and give it a name. So homepage photo, I'll put John Doe on there. Take out the space, click Save, and then here again you can the quality 9 is fine. Just click OK again, and make sure I remember where I saved that. So I saved it to the desktop, but if I were you, I would not save things to your desktop. Alright, so now I'm going to go back to here, back to my portfolio. Now you probably deleted this already, and that's fine. So I would go into my edit mode, you know, you probably don't have this, so it's gone, but you still have this space. So click in here, go to Insert, and then go to Image, and then you can find, I'm going to say Upload Image, go to my desktop, scroll down until I find my John Doe homepage photo, click Open, make sure it's selected, click OK. There we go. Now I just need to center it, so I'm going to click Center, and there we go. So I click Save, and there's my completed photo. So again, that's how that's done. So like I said, if I went too fast, obviously, hopefully you can rewind that and look back over some of the things that I've done, and make sure obviously you have the right photo. So go ahead, you can practice this with the photo you have, and then if you don't like that photo, obviously at some point take another photo and just go through and recrop and add some, you know, some text in there. So so that's it for this tutorial. Thanks.